Hey, we're back on the aggregate. Took a little break there. We're back. We'll call it a hiatus, if you will. We're here with my man today, Carl Sommer, Cutthroat Carl, as you can see there, his MMA fighting name. We're going to talk to him a little bit today about his MMA journey. How you doing, Carl?
Good, man. How are you?
I am good. It's good to see you again, and we're back and with a vengeance here. So today, I kind of wanted to talk to you about again your MMA journey, and just for a brief overview, and then I'm going to let you expound upon this. You know, getting into MMA fighting a little bit older than most people do. I just want to kind of pick your brain and get inside between your ears there, and kind of see what got you into it, what motivated you to do it. Let's start with like what age did you get into the MMA?
Yeah, I was 29 when I first started training. So yeah, definitely a lot older than most.
What at what age? I mean, you've been around this culture now. At what age do these guys normally start training for this kind of stuff?
Man, I mean, some of these guys in the gym have been wrestling since they were 5 years old. But I would say like, kind of that average age, like most guys can't fight in a sanctioned fight until they're 18.
Okay.
So, that's kind of, I don't want to say there's a bunch of 18-year-olds running around, but for the young ones, the really advanced younger guys, they start when they're, kind of 16, 17, start training, and then they take their first fight, and then, doors open up for them. So, yeah, I mean, I would say like the average age in the gym is probably between like 22 to 27, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah. Prime of your physical peak type stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and so most of these guys, they've got a background and it sounds like wrestling. Do guys come in with backgrounds in like martial arts, things like that?
Yeah. So, there's some guys that do kickboxing or Muay Thai and boxing, just stand up. And then obviously jujitsu. But yeah, I mean, there are some football guys running around in there, and like, we're like, can we just football tackle people? And they're like, well, yeah, in wrestling terms, that's just called a blast double, right? So, yeah, that's kind of the only background I had in mixed martial arts was I just know how to run through somebody, right? And so, that's all I had. But yeah, most of these other guys have a lot more skills when they walk in the door.
So what made you decide at 29? You played football growing up. You were a basketball guy too. So I mean, you kind of have that agility, but you have that size, speed, and aggression. You graduate. You're done playing college ball at 22 or 23, whatever, right in there. 6 years after you're done playing football, what motivates you to get in the cage?
Yeah, so it was actually during the pandemic. I had found out that this gym was maybe shouldn't be open, but was open. And they were doing some jujitsu stuff, and so I was like, well, just gonna go learn how to do jujitsu. Like, there's something to do. And so I went and started doing some jujitsu and training just that. And I was getting choked out by like 135-pound people. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm not as tough and as strong as I thought I was, clearly. So it just kept like the competitive side of me just kept wanting to come back and learn and learn and learn and figure out why I'm getting my ass beat by 135ers. And then I stayed late one day and saw some MMA guys come in and saw them go through a practice. And it was like, man, I think I can do that stuff. Right. So just kind of started going more and more. And then as things started, opening up and, the COVID restrictions loosened, kind of went full speed into one of the best gyms in the Pacific Northwest and one of the best gyms in the country. So, yeah, just kind of took off after that.
Okay, so it's funny you think about like you said you're a football guy and you want to go in and like Goldberg spear someone and you just want to tackle someone like you did when you were playing ball. As you got through this, so you're 29 when you start training. How old were you when you had your first fight?
31.
Okay, so you're 31. You have your first fight. Describe stepping into the ring for the first fight right before they announce you. They're calling your name and you step into the ring. What's going through your head?
Honestly, like that fight, I had no idea like what to expect. It was like in a fitness center up in Washington's, like almost further than Seattle. I can't even remember the town. But it was like a fitness center that had a cage in it. And so there's
Hmm.
literally people like on an elliptical, there's people on a treadmill, and then there's like just, a couple bleachers set up for fans. And it was like, what the heck am I doing? Like, it just felt so weird. And then I'm fighting. My first fight was against this guy must have been 40 years old. And, it's an amateur fight, right? We're not pros. But this guy's balding, has gray hair, and, looks like he pumps gas at Chevron on the weekends. And
Hmm.
I had no idea what to expect. The emotions didn't really hit me. At that time, I was still using drugs and drinking alcohol. So I was, kind of fuzzy minded. I'll say that. I wasn't sober yet. So didn't really have like the emotions and things. I was just like, I'm just going to go get in a fight and see what happens. Which it ended up going 3 rounds and I lost by decision. And then after that, on the drive home, because it was like a 4-hour drive to get there, on the drive home, I was like, man, if I'm going to do this sport, I got to make some serious changes. And, I took some time off and, got the help I needed for drugs and alcohol and, kind of got my mind right. And then came back to the gym and said, I want to do this thing. I want to do it and fully commit to it. So, it was humbling and it was just a different experience, but I knew it was something that I wanted to do.
And I've known you for a long time, since you were a little guy. Not a little guy, you were never little, but since you were about 14. And your competitiveness, I know, is going to kick in too. And there's just that kind of thing. We were texting the other day and I said two things. I said, you've got balls of steel and you're clinically insane. Like, which I still hold. I think you have to be a little bit insane to get in there. Like, you got to be like at 90% sanity and 10% crazy, just batshit. I'm going to get in there. Like you said, I'm just going to go get into a fight. Okay. So then you had a couple more fights after that and you had success. Did it become kind of a drug, having success there, being a different kind of drug, I suppose?
Yeah, yeah. So I was still an amateur at the time, fought a few times at the Roseland, knocked some guys out. And when I tell you, Jeremy, there's nothing like a high you get from winning a fight in front of, 1,000+ people in a cage with another grown man. Like, I have goosebumps literally right now just saying that. Like, it's a feeling that you just can't explain to people that aren't fighters.
Mm-hmm.
But every fighter that watches and that listens, like they know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's probably what brings us back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's literally like you're on Mount Everest, and nobody can touch you for 24 hours because you just feel like the man, right? Like you're like, dude, I just beat another man's ass in a cage in front of all these people. So yeah, I rode that success. At one point, I was ranked the #1 heavyweight in the Pacific Northwest. I was getting a lot of national attention. I signed with a big agency that managed me for a while. And then I took my first pro fights September of 23 in Idaho in Coeur d'Alene, and I won that in the second round. And then I suffered my first pro loss in 24. And that one was tough for me. It was my teammate fought right before me. I was the main event, which I'd never been a main event before. My teammate came into the locker room. He just lost a tough fight, got knocked out like right at the last couple of seconds, and came in the locker room and started having a seizure right in front of me before I made my walk to the cage.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I was literally everything was already running through my mind. But what specifically was in my mind is, why the heck am I doing this? Like, I am a 36-year-old man that makes over $100,000 a year, that has a beautiful wife and this good life. Like, I don't need a couple $1,000s to go fight somebody, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it all that was racing through my head. And when this kid, we kind of wrestled for a little bit, he got on top of me, was throwing some elbows, and then he grabbed my neck. And I've had some neck injuries. and I just tapped out. Like, I wasn't hurt. I wasn't, but for me, it was like, cool, I'll just get my show money and get out of here. Like, I don't need to put my body on the line. And then
Hmm.
I made a post on social media. I was like, I'm done fighting. It's done great things for me. I've done something that less than 1% of the world does. And, I became a pro at it, and I always wanted to be a pro athlete. Here I am. And, you know, so I was like, yeah, it's done well for me. And now I'm done. Um, and then for another, we'll call it 15 months, knowing that I'm going to call my last fight a loss, it just ate at me. And we're talking about being competitive.
Hmm.
And so this year I, was helping a teammate at the gym get ready for a fight. And my manager called me and said, I've got a good opportunity for you. Do you want to fight again? And I said, absolutely, but I don't know how I'm going to tell my wife. Took my wife out to dinner,
Of course you did.
told her, here's what's going to happen. Very confident in it. She was not thrilled, but she trusted me. And then we fought, last week. So we got the win. And a lot of people ask me, well, what's next for you? And I can tell you one thing. I have no idea what's next for me. If there is one fight that I would like to get back, it's the one pro loss that I have, and I would love to
Of
fight the guy
course.
again. So
Yeah. Okay. So you had this fight the other night. So you're saying that now you're done.
I'm not saying that.
Okay. I want to get this on record. This is going on YouTube. It's going on record. You're not saying that.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not saying I'm done. There's a couple things in this sport. Once you can kind of get the mental piece down, and I think that walk to the cage, the build up after the weigh-in, some guys get it a lot sooner as far as like the stress of it and whatnot. Sometimes it happens during the training camp. It's just usually a 6 or 8 week training camp before the fight. For me, especially this fight, it hit like right after I saw my opponent, and it was like right after the weigh-in. I was laying in bed, like running through every scenario in my head, everything from getting knocked out to trying to rewind that and me knocking the guy out to, everything, right?
Mhm.
And but this one, it hit me real hard, like making that walk to the cage. And I just, before I stepped in, I said a prayer and saw all my friends and fans and family, and blew them all kisses, and it was go time. It was like, let's get this done. And but what I was saying was there's a lot of things in the sport that guys want, and I would love to be a heavyweight champion. And for somebody, I fought for King of the Cage. I fight for clinch promotions right now. So whoever wants to give me that opportunity to fight for a heavyweight belt, that's the one thing that's missing in this shrine behind me. So I would love to have a belt hanging up there. So
Awesome. So I grabbed this from Instagram. So this is just a clip of the ending of your fight. Now,
yep.
previous to this, again, and I'll rewind it. Previous to this, I kind of had a good chuckle because you threw a kick at the guy and he grabbed your foot and you kind of went down, and so at this point, you're kind of down. And so what's going through your mind right here at this very moment when, okay, you just got sat on your butt here, he's
Mhm.
kind of standing over you. What are you thinking? Are you thinking of how to get him down, or are you thinking about just trying to get back up, or what's going through your mind?
Yeah. So going into this, I knew that my opponent, Alidre, I knew he was a striker, and he wanted to crash hard, and a lot of his fights don't go past the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's him finishing or him getting finished, but he goes in hard. I threw that kick. I saw his body wide open. Look, the guy's way faster than me. I'm not going to lie about that. He came in about 40 pounds lighter than me.
Mm-hmm.
I threw that kick to the body. It was probably very slow motion. He caught it, set me on my ass. Um, right here is like in my mind, I was like, please come dive on me. Like I wanted him to engage so I could
Sure.
out wrestle him. I knew I was a better wrestler. Um, so right here, I was just trying to buy myself some time. Obviously, you saw me reach for the leg there. That's when I kind of knew I had this thing under control. Um, and every grappler knows there's two situations there. He can either take my back or I can, end up getting on top, which is what I did. And like I said, with my knowledge of his wrestling, I knew I would be able to, more than likely be in a successful position. Now here, a lot of guys would want to posture up and punch. We had been working this actually the morning before the fight. It's called a head and arm choke. I just had to get that arm kind of pinned with my head and put the pressure on. And in order to do that, I need to circle my legs off to the side and really start to squeeze. It's kind of a slow choke, meaning that, you know, you feel like you're fine and all of a sudden the lights go off. And it was funny right here. He actually whispered in my ear and said, "Shit, I'm in a head and arm." And I said, "Yeah, you better tap soon because it's gonna you're gonna go to sleep real soon." So yeah, it was pretty good feeling right about here is where I knew this fight was ending soon.
Yeah, and again, just a fun story for the viewers. I think my first text to you the day after was something to the effect of, "Congratulations, but I really wanted you to see you pummel somebody. Like I wanted to see you get on top with two fists and rain blows, because that's the type of sick fuck I am. Is I just like to see that stuff. Again, don't give me a shot of anything like with a needle because I'm a sissy, but this kind of stuff like I can go for, right? Like I throwing hands and wrestling, that's good stuff. So so right here, you've got him pretty much, you've swung your legs and now you're just pressuring his neck and he's losing wind. Yeah.
Yep.
And we're going to
Yep.
see him tap here in just a second. If you see that blue glove come up right there and he's tapping, and look at that look on your face. Like that's pure joy where, you know, all your training paid off, and that's amazing. I love it.
So the emotions, I mean, I was almost going to cry. Like I said, you know, almost 2 years ago, I laid the gloves down. I was never going to fight again. You know, I felt like mentally it was just too tough on me. I was stressed out all the time, put a lot of pressure on myself. And my goal here was, let's just go in there and have fun and see what happens. Right. And like I said, you know, I think it was a good opportunity. It was a good opponent for me, knowing that you know, I'm not going to say I'm the best wrestler, but I knew I had weight on him. I knew if I took him down, I could finish this fight on the ground. And man, the emotions, like my wife, my mom, I probably had 40 or 50 people there, and like they were all sitting in that direction. So to turn around, see them and, you know, see some tears of joy, and it was just all emotions. So like I said, when you're on that Mount Everest and you're looking down at everybody, it's the best high that any man could ask for. So
yeah, that's fantastic. So it was fun to see you. I was, you know, again, when we were texting, I was just like, I can't wait to watch the video. I always, your Instagram after your fights, your Instagram story probably takes up a good third of my day, because there's 75 posts on there. There's video from different angles. There's video from people who are taking different camera, you know, video from the crowd, seeing pictures, you know, of you and Heather, the athletic trainer at Gladstone, which, you know, I've never met Heather, but she's near and dear to my heart because my child is oft injured and she spends pretty much every day with Heather. Seeing your mom there, I mean, and you know, I love Bobby more than just about anybody on the planet except my family. It was just great to see you there. And Carrie in the audience. I mean, just seeing those pictures. So your Instagram is always fun to watch after a fight. So just know that, you know, people that know you are here and supporting you, and it's great. You've got an awesome support system. So
yeah, man, and I'm very appreciative of them. And you mentioned Heather, like, and you know, I'm a guy that's had a lot of surgeries, a lot of neck pain. You know, doing this sport is definitely not, you know, going to help any of that. And Heather, you know, she took a lot of time and worked on my body. And I'm, you know, I don't know if I could have honestly been in another fight without somebody like that taking the time to help me. So it meant a lot to have Heather a part of this training camp. And then, you know, just the juice that you get when you walk out to the, you know, you hear your song and, you know, you see the crowd and everybody's going crazy for you. And it's like, man, this is fucking awesome. Right. Like, and I'm just glad I get to, you know, celebrate and experience with all those people. One thing that helps calm me is I heard a UFC fighter talk, and, you know, even at that level, like to hear guys say, man, I'm deathly afraid when I walk to that cage. And, you know, I always tell my corner guys, remind me before I step in everybody's still going to love me no matter what happens in this fight. You know, you go back home and, you know, the people at the grocery store, the 80-year-old lady shopping next to you doesn't know who the fuck you are. Like, she doesn't know you got knocked out last night, right? So take the pressure off yourself, right? So I always have my corner guys remind me that. And, you know, you just go out there and have fun, and, you know, you work your butt off and go put on a show and see what happens, right? And, you know, it went in my favor that night. And, you know, I'm still riding the high, right? I'm celebrating with a Coke Zero over here. And, you know, I told Carrie I better get an ice cream cake from Dairy Queen on that counter as soon as I walk in that door on Saturday night. And there it was. So,
Nice.
you know, I've been eating like crap for the last 48 hours, but, you know, I feel like I earned it. So
Good for you. Yeah, treat yourself, right? Well, and for those who don't follow your Instagram, what's your Instagram handle?
C Sommer 93. There might be an underscore in between the summer and the 93. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I don't think there
yeah,
is.
it's fun. Got a good group of social media guys at the gym, and then I had a photographer come in, Justin. I think his social media is like travel and adventure photography, but he came in for this one, and he's put a lot of videos and stuff out this week. So it's been great to kind of get that support. And let's be honest, like with the way that the world is now, like these are images and videos and stuff that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. So you know, I get kids at the high school that always tease me like, we don't need to see any footage of you on the football field. Like we don't even know if you're a real baller or not. You know, so to be able to put this stuff out there is kind of cool. Like, you know, now you guys get to see that I'm not just some old guy, right? So
I've got some footage I'll bring in there. I'll show those guys what you did when I was coaching you and you were
yeah,
running amok
please
in
do,
all
please
state.
do,
And
because yeah, I don't have any of that. I think I have the touchdown that I scored against Sherwood my senior year, that long run, but other than that, I don't have anything. So um,
I'm sure I've got game film somewhere hiding around in the archives there. Well, hey, it was great to talk to you. You know, man, keep on doing your thing. You're an inspiration, especially for, I don't want to say older folks, but you're approaching middle age now, which is scary, again, having known you as long as I have. And um, you know, it's great what you're doing. Keep up the good work. If you don't follow Carl, yeah, see Sommer, and that's SOMMER 93. I'm sure you could look up Carl Sommer and find him pretty easily. But follow his Instagram. It's a fun one. And we'll go ahead and sign off. Again, it's been great having you on and seeing you. And take care. Give Carrie a big high five for us, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, and much love to you and your family as well. It's always good to see you. So, yep.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right, man.